minutes, we've had these conflicting reports over who controls the city. Who do you think controls it?
I think Ukraine has no control over the city. This is 100% under Russian control. I'm very sure about that.
Okay, so
You know, I heard a statement that when it comes to war, the first casualty is the truth. We don't know what the truth is. We have a lot of hearsay. We have a lot of questions, and there are a lot of answers. Most cases, most of the answers we will never know until it's all said and done. And by that time, it will be too late. I've been contemplating not to speak about this war in Ukraine, because there are a lot of reasons, man. There's a lot of reasons not to touch on it. There are a lot of reasons not to touch on this topic because, one, I'm not an expert in the field. I'm not qualified to speak about international relations, politics. There's a lot of things that I don't understand. I'm not from Ukraine. I'm not from Russia. And as a matter of fact, I have not been paying to the news that much as I should have, because the number one problem we have in this day and age is the media has become so unreliable in terms of the information that they share with us. A lot of times they misinform us in order to push one view. And the sad thing that happens is a lot of people are affected by these things, and a lot of people suffer, and there's nothing that we can do. When you look at the situation in Ukraine, I would like to believe it's a situation that could have been avoided had cooling heads prevailed, had conversations been had. But on the other hand, based on the information that's out there, you know that they tried speaking, they tried communication until, Russia decided to invade. And you then start feeling sorry for a lot of people because they got caught up in situations that had nothing to do with them. If you're a baby, if you're an international student, if you're just people living your lives, you have no control over what governments do. And the worst part about war is always the person who hosts the war. Those are the people who tend to lose the most. The sad thing is, when all this is said and done, Ukraine will be left with the need to rebuild. Lives will be lost, innocent lives. It's said that we say innocent lives as if they are guilty lives. The decision makers are probably 10, 20 men and women. But the people who perish are soldiers, frontline soldiers, people who signed up to the army to protect their nations. But we sign up and we never hope to go to war. You never hope to have to defend your nation. And those are the people that lose their lives, and the leaders get to live on or eventually die, but they don't die on their own. It's sad what's happening in Ukraine, but also it's sad what's happening throughout the world. People have made that argument that it's, why are we only paying attention because it's happening in Ukraine? I think it's because it has gotten more media than the rest of the world, where places where these wars keep on happening. I don't wish for war on anybody. I feel like, if it was up to me, I would say, listen, I don't know, create a space of land where people who want to fight go fight. We give you your own space. Politicians, if you want to fight it out, go fight it out. Armies, you want to fight it out, go fight it out, but take it away from people and make it a choice. It'll be definitely your choice to fight and be engaged in these wars, but far away from people who just want to live their lives and take care of their families. It's sad, the moments that we live in, how divided the world is. It's like every 2 weeks there's something that just comes to leaving you thinking, what the is going on in this life, in this world. I just wish cooling heads could prevail and we could have discussions and conversations on how to deal with this situation, because on both sides everybody feels justified for their actions. There is no right, there is no wrong. For us the people, it's like we look at situations like this and say all we want is peace. But how do we get that peace? Somebody's gonna have to fight. Your country is being invaded. The words that people use, like you're being invaded. Invasion is like someone's coming to take over. Protect yourself, protect your freedoms. I ask myself every time, what's the end game? What's to be gained out of this? From what I've seen and from what I've read, it's the people in Ukraine don't want Russian takeover because they feel their freedom is being taken away. So if that's how they feel, how does this end? And then you read somewhere else where they say, Russia feels justified for what they're doing because they feel like there were bad things being done to Ukraine by the government, so they want to fix it. But my question is, if the people don't want you there, what are you doing there? That's like forcing yourself onto someone who doesn't want you. I don't know the answers to these questions because it's hard to find the truth. It is hard to believe anything that you see on the internet or read because everyone's divided. NATO will obviously push for reasons for us to believe in them and for them to go help Ukraine and do what they have to do. But the people who end up suffering is the same Ukrainians. I read like, send us ammunition, send us this, we are sending this, but that's just turning that country into a military zone and into a war conflicted zone. And man, I don't even know. As a country with over 44 million people, and to this date it's like only 1 million people have been able to leave. You wonder what's going to happen to the other 43. You wonder when is the end in sight, man? Like when does this end? And what's the end game like? It's very hard. It's very difficult to understand, but man, we need, as people, as humans, we need to avoid World War III at all costs. But it's said that the actions of few men can result in the end of everybody. You never want to give anybody a reason to do that because of how damaging World War II was. What happened in Japan is not something that anybody wishes on anybody. But when you think how far advanced the world has moved from Japan in 1943, was it 1944, 45, to 2022, the technology, the knowledge that now exists, and the destruction that can occur. I don't know who's watching this, but listen, we have to find a way where if these politicians want to go to war, we put them in rings and they can fight and not involve people, because at the end of the day, it's everyday people that suffer, and it's always been everyday people that suffer. People talk about sanctions and all this, but the only person that suffers a lot of times is just the normal person who's just trying their best to do what they can in this world. Whilst the same politicians sleep comfortably in their beds, eating great meals, people who are at the front lines that are suffering. Anyway, this are just my thoughts. I'm very confused right now in terms of like, what's the end game? What's the play? What is Russia trying to achieve? What is NATO trying to achieve? What's the truth? What's the lie? Where the hell is this world going? Let me know in the comment section where your thoughts lie. What do you think of what's going on in the world right now? How do you think all this will end at the end of the day? Anyway, I hope you're having a good time. I'll see you in the next one.